Good morning. This is day 2 of my Lenten commitment of videos defending my Catholic faith and explaining why it is that I believe what I believe. The rule, 5 minutes and only 5 minutes, unscripted, my thoughts. So in my first video last time, I talked about what is sometimes known as the historical argument. That is the fact that man has a religious sense, and we see this across cultures. I wanted to say, feel free to object, to raise questions, because I have 46 days in which to make videos, and I have no set plan for what to cover. So if there are objections that you'd like to raise or concerns, share them, and maybe I'll actually make them a video. But today I wanted to transition to another of the traditional arguments for the existence of God, and this is the one that is sometimes known as the moral argument. Just as when you look across cultures and when you consider individuals, you see that man has this religious instinct, and that across cultures, universally there's religion, and that seems to imply that there must be someone who gives it, someone who instills that, who makes us like that. So too, when you look across cultures, there seems to be this moral sense. No matter what culture you're in or what time period, man is a creature that tends toward the good. And when you think of even, for instance, the Ten Commandments, which are specific to our Judeo-Christian tradition, God giving them to Moses in the book of Exodus, you think of thou shalt not kill and thou shalt not steal. And you think of these as being from our Jewish heritage. But look more broadly at cultures that never had an encounter with God's chosen people, and you see the same ideas. No matter what culture you enter into, there is clearly a sense that it is wrong to take things that belong to other people. And no matter what culture you enter into, there's a sense that it is wrong arbitrarily to kill people. Where else would this come from, this moral sense, which is universal to man, unless it came from outside? When you have these cultures that never encountered each other and believe practically the same things. Now, I think there are some obvious objections to this. There are some things that you would look at various cultures and say, well, actually, there are cultures that were quite brutal. I know last time I mentioned the Aztecs and their practice of human sacrifice, horrific as it is. We could also bring up, I know in a history class I teach, we study the Spartans, and they were quite brutal when there was a child or a member of their society that they didn't think would contribute. They left babies to be exposed, for instance, if they were weak. Across many cultures, life was considered quite cheaply. Think of slavery in various cultures and the different ways that classes were treated. So is it really true, in other words, this is an objection, that thou shalt not kill is a universal precept? I would say yes, even despite all that, because when you look at these cultures, it's not that they didn't think that it was wrong to kill. They all thought that. It's just that they didn't necessarily classify all human life as equal. Thou shalt not kill, but there are exceptions due to various prejudices that exist within a society. Like, for instance, the Spartans making an exception for members who couldn't contribute. Or, and I'll be pointed here, our own culture, with its lack of respect for babies who are not yet born, who are in the womb. They don't count with the same weight as those who are outside the womb. So different cultures make different exceptions. But the fact is that the rule is universal, thou shalt not kill. Similarly with thou shalt not steal. Where would this come from, given these cultures are so disparate, if it didn't come from outside? if there is a moral law and it's universal, there must be a lawgiver. Those are my 5 minutes. That's all I have for today. God bless.